Hello everyone. I'm very excited to the opportunity to present our experience. I'm Rodrigo, Rafael Ribeiro, Christoph Trude, and Wirakulisa are also co-authors. So let's go. Business pressure, like tight deadlines and other business and management aspects, have been widely identified as key causes for technical debt. In this case study, we applied Tracy, a business-driven approach to prioritize technical debt. Trace is the result of previous research with industry. So, our objectives in this work are first, to understand how the business-driven approach impacts technical debt prioritization and what are the business stakeholders' perceptions regarding factors that influence technical debt prioritization. The case study took place in Phoebus Technology. The company works with electronic payment and processing of card transaction. The selected team works on new products and are submitted to high business pressure. And we also had the opportunity to interact with participants on all decision-making levels, from developers, the team leader, product owner, and the CEO. It was an incredible experience, and we are very thankful to all the support that the company gave to the research. So let's clarify some concepts and understand how the business-driven prioritization works. We use the domain of an e-commerce solution just to simplify the example. First, observe that the concepts are classified in two domains, business and technical. The first concept is the configuration item. Configuration items are artifacts affected by technical debt. Conceptually, it can have different granularity from classes to entire systems. In this example, we have the e-commerce front end, a database, and a service composed by two modules. So TD items affects configuration items. IT assets are high-level artifacts related to the business domain. Usually are present in the service portfolio of the organization. In this example, the e-commerce solution is the IT asset composed by several configuration items. And in other words, an organization sells IT assets. It doesn't sell configuration items. We sell a report, a key feature, but we don't sell the database and the system itself, you see? So the IT asset is a business perspective of the features and the systems that are being developed. Finally, value sources are the aspects of IT assets that creates business value. It can be features supported by business processes. We can have value sources that are related to the core business or not. For example, in an e-commerce solution, the sales process or the product showcase are the core business. On the other hand, the order history isn't. So every feature somehow supports some business process. Basically, technical debt affects configuration item that composes IT assets. IT assets provides value sources that creates business value. You see? So we use this business value to do the prioritization. That's it. And during the case study, our first goal was to collect data in order to trace the technical debt to its affected value sources. This is necessary to measure the business impact and enable the prioritization. So, during the study, we collected information about 49 value sources from 8 IT assets, composed by 61 configuration items affected by almost 200 technical debt items. After the data collection, it is time to classify the business aspects. Basically, we had to understand which value sources were core business. But it is far from easy. It is common to have conflict perceptions of what is core or not. Two aspects took our attention. For example, the PO had more concerns related to sales and customer expectations, but the team leader was more focused on features, as expected. See, another point was the confusion between the prioritization of incidents caused by technical debt and the prioritization of the technical debt itself. You see, on the technical debt management. So, conflicts are expected. You see, different decision making levels leads to different perspectives about what is core or not. Uh, but we need some level of consensus to prioritize technical debt. And we had some consensus while discussing different prioritization rules with people, peer business participants, POs, and directors. We can notice that it was consensus that technical debt, which affects core business, must have the highest priority. In addition, technical debt that affects legacy artifacts should be given the lowest priority. So one argued that there is no point in investing effort to pay off debt of an artifact that will no longer exist in the known future. See, but definitely exceptions may exist. One can opt to prioritize legacy code that affects core business, for example. There are business particularities that must be considered. See. So let's take a look on how the prioritization works. First, we have the prioritization canvas. At the beginning of the research, we used the canvas in walls to discuss concepts and scenarios. Basically, we assign a number to the relationship of the status of the configuration item and its supported value sources. Here we have the IT assets classified as operational, legacy, or to be operational. And here we have value sources organized as core or not, and about is its usage, high or low. See, the rule must be adapted to the context of the organization and the team. So we assign the priority to technical debt to the relationship between the configuration item or IT asset state and the value source classification. In this example, we will assign the highest priority, 1, to technical debt that affects highly used core features of operational systems. In this example, we assign the highest priority to technical debt A if a debt somehow affects a product showcase on the sales web. You see, it will have the highest priority. In this case, a technical debt B affects the sales report, a value source that isn't core and has low usage, so it receives the priority 6, and so on. Then we have a technical debt C with priority 5, and the lowest priority, technical debt D, that affects a non-core feature, see, of the CRM service, which is deprecated, its legacy. And then we have the prioritization. But business environment is dynamic, and the prioritization rule can change. Imagine that the project context changed and it opts to prioritize technical debt on code that is under development. For example, to be operational code could uh, could have the highest priority. So when the priority rule changes, then the prioritization also changes. You see, new assets, new business processes, the difference of the usage. So every aspect can change, and then the prioritization must follow the new business case, business scenario. So let's discuss some results. We observed that technical debt that affects core business and high usage features were prioritized to be paid. Um, and we also observed a high discrepancy between technical debt, the technical and business prioritization. So the ability to have a business vision to technical debt prioritization definitely can improve the overall decision making. And finally, during the interaction with business participants, many factors were put on table about how they should prioritize technical debt. For example, the ability to negotiate the delivery time was perceived as an opportunity to pay operational debts. Since there is time to pay the debt while it was not delivered yet. Another aspect, the incidents were reported by more than one participant as a factor for prioritization. If technical debt is causing incidents, it must be prioritized. Uh, the delivery frequency was also considered, since production and legacy bases may exist simultaneously, and so on. Well, uh, finally, we think that the business perspective is definitely a way to go when prioritizing technical debt, but not alone. Also, peer business aspects must be studied more deeply. See, and our tool TraceTD, it is going to be open sourced until December, and can be extended to another solutions and results, and we can compare new approaches, other approaches with existing data and with our existing approach. And we also have anonymized and obfuscated data to compare with other approaches. So if you want to collaborate, please let's talk. So that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. I am open for comments and questions.
Everybody, welcome to the technical debt session, first session of. So our first presentation will be presented by Rodrigo Almeida. He is from the Federal University of Paraiba, and he will be presenting his paper on business-driven technical debt prioritization, an industrial case study. So Rodrigo, you have 15 minutes for a presentation, and then we have a few minutes for questions. If anyone wants to ask some questions, please write them in the chat. So I will ask Rodrigo once he has finished his presentation. Go ahead, Rodrigo.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I'm Rodrigo. Rafael, Christoph Trude, and Wira are also authors. So let's go. Business pressure, like tight deadlines and other business and management aspects, have been widely identified as key causes for technical debt. In this case study, we apply Tracy, a business-driven approach to prioritize technical debt. Trace is the result of previous research with industry. So, our objectives in this work are first, to understand how the business driven approach impacted technical debt prioritization and what are the business stakeholders' perceptions regarding factors that influence technical debt prioritization. This study took place in Phoebus Technology. The company works with electronic payment and processing of card transactions. The selected team works on new products and are submitted to a high business pressure. And we had the opportunity to interact with participants on all decision-making levels, from developers to team leader, product owner, and the CEO. It was an incredible experience, and we are very thankful to all the support that the company gave to our research. Let's clarify some concepts and understand how the business-driven prioritization works. We use the domain of an e-commerce solution to simplify the example. First, observe that the concepts are divided in business and technical. The first company concept is the configuration item. Configuration items are artifacts that are affected by technical debt. Conceptually, it can have a different granularity from classes to entire systems. In this example, we have an e-commerce front end, a database, and a service composed by two modules, module A, module B. IT assets are high-level artifacts related to the business domain, usually are present in the service portfolio of the organization. In this example, the e-commerce solution is the IT asset composed by several configuration items. In other words, an organization sells IT assets. It doesn't sell configuration items, you see. We sell a report, a key feature. We don't sell the database itself. The IT asset is like a business perspective of the features and the systems that are developed and maintained. Finally, we finally are the aspects or the IT aspects. You see, yeah. IT assets are the high-level artifacts related to the business domain, usually are present in the service portfolio of the organization. In this example, the e-commerce solution is the IT asset composed by several configuration items. In other words, the organization sells the IT assets. You see, you don't sell configuration items. And finally, the value sources are the aspects of the IT assets that creates business value. It can have features, it can be features, supported business processes. We can have value sources that are related to the core business or not. In this example, an e-commerce solution, the sales process is a core business. On the other hand, the order history isn't. Every feature somehow supports some business process, you see. Basically, technical debt affects configuration items, which composes IT assets that provides value sources, which creates business value. So we use the business value to prioritize the technical debt. That's it. During the case study, our first goal was to collect data in order to trace the technical debt to its affected value sources. This was necessary to run the prioritization. So during the study, we collected information about 49 value sources from 8 IT assets, composed by 61 configuration items affected by almost 200 technical debt. To handle the data during the case study, we implemented our approach on a technical debt management and research tool called TracyTD. Using Tracy as a management tool, the participants could register and follow the technical debt life cycle without our interference. And as a research tool, we were able to log every access, collect data, disable features like the business prioritization to avoid bias during some research activities and so on. After the data collection, it is time to classify the business aspects. Basically, we had to understand which value sources were core business. But this is far from easy. It is common to have conflict perceptions of what is core or not. Two aspects took our attention. For example, the PO had more concerns about sales and customers' expectations, but the team leader was driven by features. Another point was the confusion between the prioritization of incidents caused by technical debt and the prioritization of the technical debt management itself. Conflicts are expected. Different decision-making levels lead to different perspectives. But what is core business, about what's core business or not? But we need some level of consensus to prioritize the technical debt. And we had some consensus while discussing different prioritization rules with business participants, POs, and directors. We can notice that it was consensus that technical debt which affects core business must have the highest priority. In addition, technical debt that affects legacy artifacts should be given the lowest priority. Well, why should one invest an effort to pay a debt on something that will be replaced in the near future? But definitely, exceptions may exist. One can opt to prioritize legacy code that affect core business, for example. These are the business particularities that must be considered. Let's take a look on how the prioritization works. First, we have the prioritization canvas. At the beginning of the research, we used the canvas in walls to discuss concepts and scenarios. Here we have the IT assets classified as operational, legacy, to be operational, you see. And here we have the value sources organized as a core business or not, and about its usage, high or low. Then we have the prioritization rule. Basically, we must define the priority of a technical debt to the relationship between the IT asset state and the value source classification. In this example, we assign the highest priority 1 to all technical debt that affects features on operational assets that are core business and have high usage. So if a technical debt A somehow affects the product showcase on the sales web asset, it will gain the highest priority. In this case, technical debt B affects the sales report, value source that isn't core and has low usage, and then it receives the priority 6, and so on. Priority 5, and the lowest priority, technical debt D, that affects a non-core feature, CRM service, you see, on the CRM service, which is a legacy asset. And then we have the prioritization. But the business environment is dynamic and the prioritization rule can change. Imagine that now one opts to prioritize technical debt on code under development, you see, to be operational. Instead of 5, now we have the highest priority. So the prioritization rule changes, and so the prioritization must change, see? It is important to highlight that new assets, value sources will appear and disappear. They may change its properties, and the same can happen from the technical side. So the business environment is dynamic, and the technical debt prioritization must follow the changes. So let's discuss some results. We observed that technical debts that affect core business and high usage features were prioritized to be paid. We also observed a high discrepancy between the technical and the business prioritization. So the ability to have a business vision to technical debt prioritization actually can improve the overall decision making. And finally, during the interaction with business participants, many factors were factors were put on table about how they should prioritize technical debt. For example, the ability to negotiate the delivery time was perceived as an opportunity to pay operational debts. Another aspects, the incidents were reported by more than one participant as a factor for prioritization. If a technical debt is causing incidents, it must be prioritized. The delivery frequency was also considered as a factor since production and legacy bases may exist simultaneously, and so on. Finally, we think that the business perspective is definitely a way to go when prioritizing technical debt, but not alone. We must consider also technical matters. Also, the business aspect must be studied more deeply. We must understand more what is behind the business perspective on the technical debt prioritization. And our tool, Tracy TD, is going to be open sourced until December. It can be extended to other solutions and results from other approaches that can be compared with existing data. So let's talk if you are interested. And follow us on Twitter and stay up to date about Tracy. Uh, Thank you very much for your attention. I'm open for questions and comments.
So thank you very much, Rodrigo. Thank you for your presentation. Very interesting. Nice work that you and your colleagues have done. So in the meantime, that other questions arrive, I'd like to ask you a question. So you have the table of the prioritization rule. So my question is, how did you, based on what information, did you identify the prioritization rules categories? So you distinguish between IT asset and value source, and with respect to value source and IT asset, you have some categories. So I'm curious, how did you identify those categories? Did you define them based on the data of your study, or were they something that you inherited from previous research?
Yeah. Well, the attributes of those entities like IT asset and value source came from previous research. You see, with the model. But the information about which IT assets and value sources came from the company, you see, the company itself during the data collection.
Okay, thank you. So it was like basically a result of your collaboration and work with the company, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. We run some exploratory research in previous work, you see, in previous opportunities, where we looked for the what are the business perspectives that must be considered when prioritizing technical debt, you see. Then we worked with other three companies during previous work to come up with this result or this present model where we consider the value sources, IT assets, and their usage and how they affect the business, if they are core or not. You see, our first approach was to look for all the variables that are involved on the business perspective, but it wasn't a way to go. And then we simplified the research, looking for what are the list, you see, or the few variables that must be put on the table so we can create a useful prioritization considering this business perspective. So that's it. You are muted, Teresa.
things going on. So we have another question here. A quick question. We just have a couple minutes left. Were the prioritization rules related to short-term business goals or long-term business goals? So, because one of the problems with TD is that we usually put too much pressure on the short term. So, what was the case in your work?
Great question, Antonio. At this version of the model, we don't consider the how the business goals change through time. So it is mostly the short-term perspective, you see. But we actually understand that we must deal with long-term, medium and long-term business objectives. So we have another part of this model where we deal with this kind of we handle this perspective, you see. But in this case study, until during the time that we split it here, we were able just to run the prioritization considering this short-term perspective because it was hard to find or to reach this at this point where we could have the agreement, you see, and the information in a structured way, and from there we can then upgrade the model to consider different terms.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you, Rodrigo, for your presentation.
For participating, and I guess we can
close this session. If anyone wants, there is the breakout room to continue the conversation, and the next paper will soon start. So thank you everyone again for your attention. Bye-bye. Thank you
Thank you,
again,
Teresa.
Rodrigo.
Thank you all.